back to the piano series for beginners, and in this particular video we'll be looking at how to play chord inversions, and at the same time I will explain the difference between chord inversions and chord voicing. Going straight right into the lesson, I will explain the difference between chord inversion and chord voicing. I know there are so many misconceptions about the two. People are like, chord voicing, when you hear chord voicing, you're like, wow, that is a very difficult topic in music or piano playing, but I tell you, it's not something to be worried about. Chord inversion in music or piano playing has to do with different ways you can arrange your chord. For example, you have your chord like this, you can actually arrange it another way. That does not mean you are playing a different chord. It simply means you are arranging the note of your chord. You are throwing the note that is the first note here, you are throwing it to be the last note when you arrange your chord. So I will go practically into that, but that is basic meaning of chord inversion. Chord voicing, on the other hand, has to do with the spacing of your chord, or the spacing of the note, or arrangement of the note of the chord for both hands. How do you arrange your notes of the chord for your hands to play? How do you space them on the instrument? That is what voicing is all about. In this lesson, I'll be explaining the key of F major. By now you should have no issue with that if you have been following this series. Now, to explain chord inversions and voicing, I will go on F major now. So for F major, the notes are, we have our F, A and C. And striking this triad, this is the root position. That is the natural form of the chord. Now it is inversion that will not tell you, okay, this is the chord. I still want this particular chord, but I don't want F to start the chord. You understand? Inversion is, I don't want F to start the chord. I want this third note to start it. So that is where inversion will now come in, which we throw the F above it. So we have your A, C, then we look for F above. After this note, we have this F. So this is what we call first inversion. Now, that is inversion. Now, the difference between this inversion and voicing is, voicing can be in a root position because it's the bass note that will determine whether it's in root position, whether it's in first inversion or second inversion. But what has to do with voicing is the way you space it. So instead of playing something like this for my chord one, or let's say the first inversion, it's voicing that will tell you, okay, this thing is sounding jam-packed. Why not arrange your notes? Okay, if I can have the root and the fifth here, then I can have my root and the third here. This is the way I want to voice my chord. It's still the same chord one. Or I can try, okay, I want to double my root at my bass. I can have something like this. Then at the same time I can still play drum like this. If you want to voice it like that, you can do whatever you want. So that is what voicing is all about. It's about the way you arrange your chord to be played. Quickly, let me share an important information that will help your chord voicing very well, and it has to do, it's one element that is common in playing, and some good players, contemporary players, they understand it and they use it. Now, it has to do with the melody of the song and the way you arrange your chord. You have to consider the melody, the note of a melody, to arrange your chord. If a song is going to me, and the appropriate chord or the suitable chord for that particular note is your chord one, which is your do chord, that does not mean you not play it anyhow. You should reflect that by making your voicing the last note of your chord to be the notes that you need for that particular melody. The song is me. If I play, despite the fact that I have this me here in the chord, it's not bringing out the bass of that note. So if the song is me and I do something like it, can you hear that it's sounding different? That is one secret that good players, they understand. When they shout voicing, when you make the melody, the note of the melody, the highest note of your chord, it will sound better than when you just play the chord anyhow. So that is another important secret you have to know about voicing. And we have two common types of voicing you have to get familiar with. The first one is the close voicing, that is, it's compact. It's more or less together. Let me use simple English you can understand. Together. Then the open means you space it. You space it. I can have something like this as my open voicing. Can you see that? It's still chord 1 because I have my root and my fifth, then I have my third and my root here. I can decide to do something like this too. I'm still spacing it, but it's kind of close a bit here. So you have to be very, very creative with your chord and take note of that point. When your melody, the note of your melody, make it the highest note of your chord when you are voicing it. Now let me explain chord inversion deeply and the fingering to play your inversion. I'll go back to my F major. Now it's in root position when the owner of the chord is starting it. It's the lowest note in the chord, just like this. But if you make the third note the lowest note in the chord, then it has become first inversion. So that means I will need to throw this one above it. So I have something like this. Then the fingering for my left hand, it will be the same 5 3 1. The right hand will be different from the left hand. It will be 1 2 and 5. Now for the second inversion, now you have your first inversion. The second inversion is you throw the third above it. You throw the third note above. You know the first inversion is the third note. The second inversion is the fifth note that will be the bass note. So when I throw the third, we have something like this. Can you see the bass note now, which is C, F and A, or you see your so, do, mi. So we have this. For the left hand, you have 5, 2 and 1. That is the fingering for your second inversion chord. Then for your right hand, you have 1 3 5. So that is the fingering for the right hand. To get familiar with the inversions of all the keys, it is better you take it from each degree of a key. For example, we are in the key of F. It is better you play on your F major, you play your root position, first inversion, second inversion, you go to the second degree, which is G minor, you do the same thing to it. I won't be spelling out the notes of this chord because I have actually dealt with triad very well from the first key to the 12th key. So it's for you now to sit down with it. Once you know your triad, for example, this is my triad. I know that I take it to my first inversion, then to my second inversion. I go to my second degree of the key, which is the Re chord. I do the same thing. I go to the third one, where it is. So that is how you practice your inversions. And you can also play it in arpeggios. You play them in arpeggios where you have. See that you have. If you notice, I am still taking note of my fingering. I'm not using one finger because I'm playing arpeggios or because I'm moving from the roots to the inversions. So you have to sit down and practice this if possible. If you are serious with this instrument, you play them on all keys. Then I will look for another opportunity to talk about voicing. Spending the time, you can actually get our material titled How to Play Hymns Without Sight Reading Ability. I know in that material we have like per chord, we have like 11 voicing. That means different ways you can voice a particular chord. So and we state it, we are applying it for all the chords, all the major and the minor chords, because you actually need to understand chord voicing very well to play hymns. If you want to play hymn the way you should play, not just picking your melody and your chord. If you want to play hymn in 4-part harmony, you have to understand chord voicing.